live on my channel.
And I think we are live. Not saying it yet, but it says we're live. There we are.
So, it takes a couple of minutes to get established in this, doesn't it?
To be fair, I have actually spent this weekend watching New Kids on the Block doing live videos, and every single one, they're at least 10-15 minutes late to join their live video. So if professionals can be late, so can we.
Yes. Well, technically we are 25 minutes late to this live stream. I'm not sure. It's saying that we're live on my channel, so that's good.
We're live on mine too.
I'll check your channel now. Okay, so do we want to do an introduction to this one?
Lynn has just messaged me to say there's a mini me at the top. Yes, I know, there is a tiny amount of me again. Let's get rid of that.
Yep. Awesome. So yep, I've just come up with a yep, so we're good to go. We are live.
Yeah, hang on. I want to bring it up so that I can actually get the chat. So
yes. Yes, it's nice to chat again, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Our topic of conversation tonight is stress, and I think the reason for that is that we both found that our lives have kind of been stressful over the last week, trying to get this live stream established, trying to get YouTube established, and trying to get sort of everything established.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a bit about your life over the last week, and I'll tell you about mine.
To be honest, this last week has been a bit of a blur in that I really didn't do very much. I kind of just let myself chill a bit. I think I kind of got to the stage where so much was happening and I was trying to do too many things, and it just got the better of me, so I needed to sort of take a step back and just let myself chill rather than trying to overwhelm myself with things. So I've kind of enjoyed a week of doing pretty much nothing. What about you?
Yeah, I think that we have said before on the live streams that these live streams are more stressful than you would anticipate them being. I've obviously started doing a couple of YouTube videos as well, very short, brief ones. I don't want to overwhelm myself with that either. And as you know, I'm kind of in a period of self-development and stuff, which is great, which I'm really enjoying and stuff, but it's a case of when is taking up healthy habits, and when is it taking too much on?
Yeah.
And that's a delicate balancing act, which I think that we both experienced with the Wednesday live stream.
Yeah.
By way of... Yes, so I think once a week is probably enough for this.
Yeah, for now, until we kind of find our feet. I think the problem was that we kind of didn't know what topics to go for, and it was chopping and changing. We had an idea, then it changed, and that's where my brain just falls apart, because we do need time to prepare for this. So if you're constantly starting to prepare for one thing and then another thing and then another thing, and so you do need to take a step back and go, like, this is meant to be fun. You know, let's not get ourselves stressed out about it. We're doing this for free. It's supposed to be a bit of a chat and, you know, enjoying conversation with somebody. It's not meant to be incredibly stressful. So when it gets to that stage, you do have to think, right, let's take a step back. Let's reevaluate this and come back into it with a fresh mind, fresh ideas, and go from there.
Yes, and I couldn't agree with that more. I think that you and I both have a certain perfectionism, which is an endearing quality and a kind of it's a dual-edged sword, is kind of what I'm trying to say, that we want to be good at whatever it is we do, and yet at the same time we kind of put ourselves under too much pressure, kind of.
Yeah.
So yes, I think that's what we found over the last sort of week or so. So taking a step back from this, on the kind of plus side, I kind of do think that this is something that I kind of do want to do, and I am enjoying the chats with you. So that's kind of the plus side of that. Give me a second, sorry. So what stuff have you taken on over the last wee while? What was it that was too much?
Well, to be honest, trying to do everything from home, trying to do some sort of a business and bring in some money in some shape or form, trying to rebuild my website. I'm studying, obviously we've talked about that before, with the digital marketing, and the blogging course as well that I was in the middle of doing, but I've put that to the side until I finish the digital marketing, because to be honest, digital marketing it's so much information kind of fired at you at one time that trying to do more than one course at a time is a lot. And you know what, this time in our life does kind of suck. I'm used to having a set routine and going out and doing what I do and kind of fitting things in around. So being at home, I actually found myself more and more just sitting on the sofa, just doing nothing, because I couldn't motivate myself last week. And I think, you know what, that's okay. It's happened. I've got over it. I've picked myself up this weekend, and I did things that I had wanted to do, like starting to sort a bedroom in the house that I wanted to pull apart and do things in. And I think that was the problem. I was putting so much pressure on myself that I should have been doing things. And the more I wasn't doing them, the more I was getting annoyed at myself. So it was one of those ones where I had to take a step back and go, right, well, just chill for a while. Just let yourself just relax and embrace a few days where you don't do anything, but then get stuck back in again.
Yeah. I think that's sort of taking a few days to kind of reset yourself or something, to appreciate the value of being busy is a good thing to do. Sometimes, I think that we all need a day sometimes whenever we just watch Netflix or whatever, or 2 days or whatever. I think that's basically the reason why we have a weekend, so that we can restore and kind of, go back into work more motivated, go back into work more, so that's kind of the basic reason why most places do a weekend. Very few jobs would work 7 days a week. And that's the reason,
Yeah, totally. And I think that's the thing. I was kind of doing bits of work every single day. So I never felt like I was stepping away. I always had the laptop on my knee and I was doing things on the website, or I was posting things. And because I was constantly thinking, I need people to still be continually thinking about the salon and purchasing products, and I need to keep it fresh in their mind. So I was putting out a mailer, so I had to do that for the start of the week. So I was doing all the stuff for that, but I kind of felt like I would start something and then something would come into my head and I would jump to something else, and I was really just overwhelming my brain and it wasn't focusing on one thing. And that is the point where you need to step back and go, right, chill a bit, come back to it, get yourself set up, go do this for this amount of time, then move on to the next thing. Don't just let your mind go, well, I'll do a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and a bit of this, because nothing gets finished then.
Yeah. I think a lot of people now with the lockdown, I was talking to a couple of my neighbours, and they have a strange sort of working from home guilt, whereby even though they are working, and they're doing their 9 to 5, if they take 2 minutes and they go on the internet, or if they kind of, if they do any, in work, if you were to take 5 minutes and go on the internet or do whatever, you wouldn't feel guilty about that because you're in the office and everybody can see you working. People get a strange, working from home guilt, and it's like you can't leave the office. It's like everything, which that's another point, like from working from home, is that de-stressing, it's good to have your stress in a particular place, and to leave that place. So even if it's another room, so you do your work in one room and you relax in another room. so that you can leave your stress place and go into your haven, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why this room here is where I have always had set up to do my work in. And I'll come up here whenever I get up in the morning. I'll make my coffee. I'll sit outside and have my coffee. 10 o'clock in the morning, I'll come up here and I'll start getting ready to get stuck into whatever I want to do. And I'm trying to have that mindset of, okay, I started work at 10 o'clock in the salon, so continue that. You know, you were up in the morning, you're still up, you're still awake, so continue with that. Get in, get yourself set up in your place, and then at a certain point, go and take a break. Leave the room, go and do something else for a wee while. As you're saying, if you were in the office, you would be taking your, if you smoke, you'd be taking your smoke break, you go for your coffee, you go for your lunch, and then you'll come back. And again, as you're saying, you know, there would be times where you'd stop what you were doing and have a wee flick through the internet and, you know, catch up on what's going on Instagram and then get back to your work. But the problem is when you're at home and it's constantly there, you do have that guilt. I actually spoke to someone today who's working from home, and she said that it's starting to feel like a prison because she never leaves her place of work. So she always feels like she's on. She says that's one thing she's looking forward to, is being able to even leave the house and go for coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are starting to feel like that with the lockdown. Yeah. Working from home, I think, like, people think it's you know, whenever you're in the office, etc., it sounds romantic, you know, working from home, but there's definitely a downside. And yeah, there's a number of downsides to working from home. Not least of all that it's nice to get away from the family or the whatever that you love in the house, which sometimes you want to be in a place where you work in order to focus on the work. You know, be it a library or be it, you know, an office or be it a salon or be it whatever. And you like to have your distractions in the house, and those are enjoyable distractions. But when the two merge, it's sort of I'm talking more about kids here. It's kind of what I'm talking about. It's sort of like a lot of parents love their kids, but if their kids are around, then that's, you know, and it's, you know, it's that adds stress to their lives. In a way.
I was chatting with my brother today. He works for a bank and is like, he does business to business banking. And he's obviously still working, but he's working from home, and he has a 7-year-old child who is incredibly hyper and incredibly demanding. But his wife is now, she's been going back out to work, so it's just been him, which he's not been used to. He's used to being the one that goes out to work and someone else is there all day. And he's finding that he's really starting to struggle with the fact that he's having to entertain that child as well as get his work done. And you can see him becoming more and more frazzled. And even my sister as well, she's got 2 teenagers at home, one who's 18 and one who's 15, and both of them are the grumpiest teenagers. You know, they're proper typical teenagers, grumping every time they're asked to do something. It's like, Thomas and I watched Kevin and Perry today, and I laughed so much just thinking that is every teenager, you know, feeling like you're the slave whenever you're asked to do something. But yeah, I think I do feel for parents. At least with me, the worst I've got is cats waking me up in the middle of the night, you know, but they entertain themselves for the most part. But I couldn't imagine trying to do this as well as look after kids running about the house all the time. It would be hard.
It would be. Yes. Yeah. I'm really glad that. Yeah. I'm really glad I kind of don't have kids with this whole thing. Yeah. You were saying about studying. I was studying a couple of years ago, and studying is actually one of the most stressful things you can do. Because you always feel as if you are kind of alone with your book, even if you're studying with other people, especially if you're taking exams. You know, there's like a weight of the world which is down on you and you individual. I was doing a master's, and you kind of feel like you're not studying as hard as everybody else, or you're not studying. And studying, it's laborious. It you know. Yeah, studying is You're doing it just for yourself, though, aren't you? Your course.
Yeah, it's kind of to help with work and stuff. I kind of thought, a marketing diploma is something that would help. And don't get me wrong, with every lesson that I'm doing, I'm going, oh yes, I can apply that and I can apply that. And then there's times in it where I'm like, seriously, can you just stop talking now? And it is hard because you're not physically going to a class. There's not somebody standing there making you do something. If I don't turn up for my class, there's nobody there to, give me detention or shout at me. I can just re-watch it at some point. And there's a downside to that, because then you feel like, oh, well, if I don't log into my class today, I can do it another day. And then what happens is you end up behind. And there's something kind of nice about actually doing it live, because there is somebody there. If you have a question, there's somebody there right away. Whereas if you're doing it back, you have to wait on responses by emails and stuff. But it is hard. And I think the thing is, whenever you are in your mid-30s and you're starting to study something again, there is something more difficult than whenever you're younger. Your brain doesn't work the same as it does whenever you're younger. You don't learn the same. It is harder.
Well, you're also out of the practice of it. Well, especially for me in doing the Masters, I was 15 years out of education. I hadn't written an essay in I don't know how long. It used to, like, there's a certain formula that you use for an essay, or a reference system that you use for an essay, or just a certain flow that you get into every time that you write an essay. And if you haven't done that for 15 years, it's...
I'm sorry, I need to stop you. You're so lucky you're not here right now. I see the clicking of that pen. You need to stop.
Oh, sorry.
You have to stop clicking the pen. Right, go back. You were talking, the formula, all of that with the Masters.
Yes,
I heard nothing
formula,
except the clicking of the pen.
Formula, yes. So you have a certain routine that you get into whenever you're writing an essay, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a difficult thing. The older you get, and then the other side of it is everything changes over the years, and the way people do teach and stuff, and then there's all the new technology bits that come into it, and it's not as simple as just sitting down and listening to somebody tell you how to do something, which I didn't find easy at school either. So
there's a couple of points that I wanted to go back to there. First of all, learning is different in your 30s. I think that's right. I think that you kind of, whenever you're younger, your brain is better attuned to kind of taking in information, whereas as you get older, it's more about applying the information. So you probably get better at applying information as you get older, but taking the information in is harder. That's why kids can learn languages so quickly. So that's why that they learn. If you speak 2 languages or 3, kids can absorb that really, really quickly. Like small kids, young kids. Yeah. But as you get older, it takes a lot more work. So so learning, it's not impossible.
No.
But it takes concerted effort.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to kind of move on to, I think that stress is this conversation basically is not so much about stress as it is about productivity, and how we can get the work done efficiently. Ultimately, if you want to have a conversation about stress, I'm kind of a glass half full kind of a person, and it's about overcoming the stress as opposed to talking about the stress. Talking about the stress is helpful too, I suppose. But so yes, do you have any tips for productivity that might kind of?
I don't know if I have any tips as much as just plan your day properly, and don't try and expect more of yourself than you would on a regular basis. If you were going to work in an office, don't expect yourself to get more done at home than you would in the office. Don't work longer than you should. Take regular breaks. Be realistic about what you're trying to get done is kind of what I'm saying. Don't overwhelm yourself with it.
Something that I've started to introduce into my life is a notepad. So at the start of every day, I write down you know, what it is I'm going to do in a list format. And sometimes it's very, very small things. Sometimes it's very, very big things. And I just say to myself, this is what I want to accomplish today. So, you know, it might just be sort of tidy the house. It might just be, you know, make a dinner. It might just be do this workout, upload this video. So essentially it's a journal that I have with me. As you know, I've taken up mindfulness over the last 2 or 3 weeks. You know, so you take that 5 minutes and you do your breathing exercise, or you do your present awareness training. And very often what I find is that something comes to me whenever I'm, you know, calming, whenever I'm, you know, in a meditative state or whatever. It's like, oh, I should do that. That's important. So I write it down, and then I try and return to the breathing. And, you know, and because very often it's like an idea will come to you, like, oh, I should get that done because that'll make this happen better. So I think most mindfulness advocates would recommend 10 minutes, but if you start out with 2 minutes or 3 minutes, you might find it makes a difference to your day.
First thing I do whenever I go out for my coffee is I get out this. This is my happiness planner. So I only started this recently. I've always had like a desk calendar where each week I write down what I want to sort of get done each day, and I have plans for whatever. On the wall over here, I have a whiteboard that I used to do that on as well, but I found this. I did one of those subscription boxes and this came in it, but I was going through stuff and I found it, and each day just go on to a blank one for tomorrow. At the top they have positive things for today, fun I'm going to do. Then you've got your to-do list, and then a timetable. Then you've got notes and doodles, and you've got a section that says tomorrow I'm looking forward to. And I love that, because then you're constantly thinking about, okay, here's positive things from today. Here's something fun I'm going to do today. And I'm looking forward to this tomorrow, as well as getting things done and ticking them off your list. And as you say, things do come to you whenever you're sitting and you're meditating or whatever. I feel like my morning whenever I go out and I have my coffee, I don't put music on or anything. I just sit there and drink my coffee. So rather than focusing on anything else, I'm literally just drinking my coffee. And at night, I find, rather than listening to music when I'm out walking the dog, whenever I'm coming home, I take my earphones out and I just listen to the birds moving about and like the cats running about the street, and just focus on the sounds around me rather than listening to music and taking myself away from that environment. It's kind of nice to embrace that.
Yes, the natural world is very relaxing, and people forget that. And people are too quick to kind of put in their music, and are too quick to put on their podcasts and their whatever else, which all adds stress to your life. Like, the worst example would be some sort of political podcast where, you know, it's this is happening, or Donald Trump's doing this, or the world's about the end, which is pretty much, you know, whatever. That would be the worst example, but every podcast is like that. Anything at all that's intellectually stimulating is adding stress to your life. And the sound of nature is so calming that people need to embrace it in their lives, you know, for at least 10 or 15 minutes a day, and really switch off. Something that I found, I was in the bad habit of watching YouTube videos, and all day, well, quite a lot of the day. So it was intellectually stimulating all day. So what you need is to, like, not intellectually stimulate yourself for a good, you know, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, you know, like in the evening before you go to bed.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm finding my lighting is getting, as it's getting darker outside, my lighting is getting a wee bit. So I'm trying to, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm moving the light round just because I'm struggling. We're kind of at that in-between stage where the lighting is either too shiny or too dark.
Yes.
So I kind of need to embrace that for right now. But yeah, went out of breath there. Yeah, I definitely find you do need to sort of sit. I've always loved it. Going back to even as a child, we had a caravan, And one of the things I always did at night before I went to bed was sat outside and listen to the water. And it's still something that if I drove, I would still continually go down to this place and sit and just listen to the waves and listen to the birds and all the different sounds. Because of where it was, you would hear the cars driving from the village nearby, and there was just something so relaxing about it. And I think that's one thing that I've probably carried through with me, and that's why I still do it. You know, first thing in the morning I'll go out and I'll sit, and the same before I go to bed at night I'll go out. It doesn't matter, you know, even in winter whenever it's really dark, I still go out and just sit. I might have a blanket wrapped around me or a hoodie or whatever on to keep myself warm, but I will always take that time every night to just be outside and just listen to everything and nothing.
That's almost a meditative practice in itself, you know. Like people get turned off by the word meditation a wee bit because some of the people who do meditation sort of don't give it a good reputation. But I would call that a meditation, like a nature meditation or an appreciation meditation or a whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it, except that if you're outside, you know, appreciating the sounds and the calming, outsideness is good for the soul, basically. And yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I like your happiness planner. I'm going to start implementing that. I think that you've probably seen on my Instagram, I've started to do a thankfulness meditation every now or a thankfulness post every now and then. So I think that's kind of, that'll feed into that for me.
Yeah.
That gives me, yes. So I like that. I think that it's good to remember once a day just something different that you are thankful for. You know, to take, 10 seconds and, try and make it something different every day. The obvious answer for parents would be, I'm thankful for my kids, but it sort of can't be that every day. You sort of have to think of something new every day, just to kind of allow yourself to have a positive thought every day in another wise.
I think that's one thing, I've mentioned it before, the gratitude journals and gratitude challenge from the Itty Bitty Book Company. Their original one was 28 days, that was the challenge, and it challenged you to be grateful for 3 different things every day. So maybe one day it would be grateful for 3 people in your life, the next day it might be 3 things that you're looking forward to. You know, it encourages you to think of different things every day. And I think from then, that is why I've encouraged myself to do that. From doing that initial challenge, it's something that I've always sort of planned in my day is what I'm grateful for, what I'm looking forward to. So this wee planner sort of coming into my lap is actually just kind of added to that. But yeah, the Itty Bitty Book Company, I highly recommend checking them out, even just for their positivity quotes, and they've got these wee booklets, strength, positivity, and I can't think what the other one is, but it's kind of nice to, I had one, I ended up giving it away to somebody, but I had one in my bag, and every day I would open it up and I would lift one out and just look at it, and that would be my positive quote for the day. Again, in the salon, I have a wee box that Amanda bought me of different positive quotes and stuff, and every day I would lift one out and I would say, this is our positivity quote for today. I wish I'd brought that home with me because it was cool to have. I think things like that, they do encourage you to add positivity into your life, because it is easy just to slip into the, this is crap, this is awful, everything is falling to shit. You know, we need to do things in our life to lift ourselves up. Otherwise, we're never going to be positive. We have another viewer. I just heard a cat.
Do we?
Yes.
How are we doing for viewers?
We have 3. I think Lynn is still with us, I'm assuming anyway. And Jennifer, you might remember Jennifer logged in one other night. So, hi Jennifer, thanks for joining us. we're talking positivity right now and being grateful for things. But I think it is definitely something that we do need to actively do. It's not something that just comes natural for most people. You need to actively do it.
Yes. The weather was great yesterday, and it was a lovely day, and so we were all commenting. Me and the neighbours and me and my parents were commenting on the great weather, and I think like everyone was like, "Oh, but if the weather's due to turn at the weekend," and it's like, can you not just kind of enjoy it now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what? Northern Irish people have a bit of a bad tendency to be negative.
Yeah.
It's 320 days of complaining about the weather and 30 days of saying that the weather's going to change, and
Yeah.
yes, I've
Embrace
written down
it
the
while it's
news.
good.
Huh?
Embrace it while it's good, rather than focusing on, oh, well, sure, it's going to change at the weekend. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it.
Just enjoy it. There's something in our culture that is kind of a little negative, which is not necessarily a good thing. And it's good to break that, because you'll get weighed down by that. That's a allowing yourself to be weighed down in negativity. I've written down the news here. I think the only thing you can do nowadays is turn off the news. I
don't watch.
I mean, I know how bad it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's all out of your agency. The thing is that you can't take control of that. There's nothing you can do to change it.
Yeah.
So yes. So if you're wanting to de-stress, you want to kind of overcome you just gonna have to kind of allow it to happen or something.
I found myself saying so many times lately, it is what it is. And it's a term I'm probably going to hate for the rest of my life because it's been used so much. But it's true. It is what it is. We need to just accept that this is our life for however long this is going to last. And embrace the beauty that we can, rather than focusing on the negative. Because if we just constantly focus on the negative and constantly watch the news and see all the bad stuff, we're never going to make it through this. We have to look for the good in this. And I think that my favourite quote is, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain.
I like it.
And that is the theme of my next podcast. And it's because we do. We need to stop thinking about, oh, this is rubbish, this is so bad, what we are living in. It's never going to get any better if this doesn't change or people don't do this. We need to just go, well, this is good that's happening. This is good that's happening. We can enjoy this. We've said before that for so long we weren't doing this, but we kind of talked about it every so often. So here's something good. This has been born, whatever this is. This has been born of this pandemic. And I don't know about you, but I have talked to my neighbours more than I ever have. So again, that's something that's really nice. So that is us learning to dance in that rain. Instead of going and hiding and just wallowing in it, we are dancing through this storm together. And I think that is the most important thing that we need to be doing, is to find our way to dance.
Absolutely. Yes. I kind of feel like I've written down depression there. I don't know if that's something that we're wanting to weigh into. I feel like that quote applies to depression a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of does. And I definitely think that this whole thing, even what we're talking about now, what we are doing to be more positive, to be more grateful, is helping with our versions of depression and everything. And I definitely, I can see the days where mine has got worse. And I definitely think that has made things overwhelm me more than they normally would, because it is a scary time. There's so much for me that has changed right now that I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go to from here. And, if I delve in, I'm kind of talking about the salon. the way my salon works, we don't qualify for the business grant that covers us for our bills for the next 3 months. Thomas earns over the threshold, so I might not be entitled to any money from Universal Credits. I also, for 2 years, didn't make a profit, so the 80% of profit that I should be getting from the government, for 2 years there wasn't that. So I have no money coming in. I don't know whether my salon is going to be able to continue. And I think that's something that, as the weeks went on and the more unknown things became and the harder things got and the more the savings that we had for our holiday were gone on my bills, the more the depression started kicking in, the more the fear took over, and my mental health really did take a battering. And as I was trying to do things, it was just, my brain couldn't cope with it, you know. So I had to take that step back and go, right, we need to just chill for a wee while and just embrace this and just be like, well, look, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't have anything particularly to... I mean, I'm not an expert in that area or can give you any advice or anything, except the only thing I can give you really is my sympathy. So...
You know, it's one of those things. At the end of the day, I'm not the only business owner that's going to be in this position right now, but one thing I am continually trying to tell myself is I started from nothing. I had not a penny to my name when I set up my salon. In fact, the lovely Lynn bought me my first nail desk and my first nail chair and a set of drawers. I didn't even have the money for that. She was the one that paid for those initially for me. So at the end of the day, I have to keep telling myself I started from nothing. If I end up back at nothing, I will build myself up. But I'm not going to do it if I let depression take over and let myself fall into that again.
Yeah, well, I don't, you know, unfortunately I'm not really an expert in anything there. I can't give you any advice per se, but yeah, you have my sympathy, and I don't know, really.
I bet you're glad you said about the depression now.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see, where would you like to take this conversation?
Yeah, let's just, I will say, Jennifer has just said there's a chance that small businesses can reopen on the 11th of May, so hopefully that happens. Yes, to be fair, that might happen for some, but mine is a small business that I'm literally touching people. I don't see that happening. I do reckon that we probably have another 6 months before my type of business reopens. And again, do you know what? That's okay. I do have days where I'm okay with that. You know, I'm not going to say that it will be like that every day. But I just wanted to address her comment on that. But moving on to the whole depression thing and talking about the fact that we do need to be positive. Again, it does all tie in everything that we're talking about. We do need to do things actively in our life to make us feel better. You know, I don't know if you listened to that podcast that I was talking about, The Awake.
Awake? No.
They have 4 episodes on now. It was actually Lynn that told me about them. She used to work with the guy. He's from Belfast. So it's kind of nice to listen to somebody who's from here as well. But the first one that I listened to, he was talking about, oh gosh, I can't even remember the whole ins and outs of why he was talking about. But what he said was to take a cold shower every day. And this past 4 days, I have done that. Oh my days. It is invigorating, but horrifying. But I'm so glad that I'm doing it. I need to get a shower cap though, because I can't wash my hair every day. So I can't properly stand with my head under it until I get a shower cap most days.
Well, that's maybe something that I'll introduce into my lifestyle then. And is that, I think that guy's followed me on Instagram. I think I know him. I think he used to work with me.
I think you're probably right. I am sure Lynn worked with them in the call centre that you collectively worked in. Yeah, probably.
Well, I actually know him. He's a nice fella. Yes, so I actually know him. And Yes, so I've seen his. I have him on Facebook and I have him on Instagram. I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, but anyway, he was a team leader in our
Yeah,
place in LBM.
yeah.
Um,
Michael, he's called.
um,
Michael.
what? Michael. So, okay. Anyway, no, I knew him quite well when I was working there, and I think that he and I are trying to do. Well, he's probably been doing it for a lot longer, but he and I are kind of trying to do a similar thing.
Yeah.
In the respect of kind of, I'm looking at a personal development vlog and blog, but that's probably where I want to get to, and in a period of time, is kind of doing like an awakening podcast or whatever, or doing a was it life coaching or holistic nutrition, I think is what they call it.
Okay.
Whenever you kind of implement health, fitness, lifestyle, meditation, so it's all part of the nutrition of your soul. Sorry, nutrition of your soul. Yeah. So I've started following a YouTuber, a holistic nutritionist on YouTube, and she's been talking about a whole lot of stuff. Holistic nutrition tends to be women that go into that field, generally speaking. I didn't even know it was a job, to be honest, but
Neither did I.
evidently it is.
What is the person called that you're following on YouTube?
Oh, now you're asking. Hang on. If I go onto YouTube now, it's taken longer because we've got this here happening. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Jennifer is just saying there that Michael recommended her to take the cold showers to help her sleep, but it didn't work. Jennifer, how many times did you do the cold showers? Like, was it just once and it didn't work, or did you do it for a couple of days? I know I tried a couple of things that he had recommended. He did actually do a podcast on sleep, and one of the biggest things he did say was an hour before you go to bed, put your phone away. Don't sit with your phone. And I mean, that's something we all know already, that we shouldn't have our phone out, because the way it works, the screens and stuff do affect your brain and stops you from shutting down. I mean, I've definitely seen a difference over this past sort of 5 days. And do you know what? Maybe that helped as well. Stopping watching things on YouTube and stuff late at night has probably helped then with me getting back on my feet mentally, because I probably wasn't sleeping. I was sitting up to 3 o'clock in the morning and then getting up early. So the more you do that,
of social media, there's a kind of it's hard to, they call it a phone fast. If you like turn your phone onto airplane mode or whatever, turn it off for a certain period of time, and they call it a phone fast. Let's say it's an hour a day, or it's whatever amount of time. But doing a phone fast, I don't sleep. My phone isn't beside me when I sleep. Because if I'm getting notifications on my phone when I'm sleeping, I won't sleep at all.
Yeah. Well, my phone at 10 o'clock at night, my phone goes on to do not disturb. So unless it's somebody who's in my favourites list, their phone calls won't come through. Their text message, no text message comes through no matter what. So it's the only people that would be ringing me at that time of the night would be an emergency anyway. So obviously you want specific people to be able to come through. But that's something I find really important. Between 10 o'clock at night and 8 a.m, my phone goes on to do not disturb, so that unless I am awake and sitting downstairs or something, I'm away from being able to see the notifications coming through. Because as you're saying, you would constantly be looking at it, and once you look at one notification, the next thing, an hour and a half has passed and you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, or you're on Facebook, when you weren't even meant to be doing that in the first place. So it is better if you don't even see those coming through at all.
Whole happy life.
Whole happy life.
Whole happy life.
Okay.
That's who it was I started following today. Yes. So she's like a holistic therapist and stuff, so that's what she talks about. I've only watched a few of her videos, but so far so good. Basically, so she's does the whole kind of package of kind of looking after a wee bit of everything. What we're talking, cold showers I've done before. I actually did cold baths as well. They recommend cold baths, tepid baths, for for kind of weight loss, for burning. It burns the grey fat, essentially like the heat fat. It burns that, so you have to like heat up in order to make more grey fat.
Yeah.
So essentially it burns fat in a roundabout way. To sort of immerse yourself in cold water, and it's good for recovering your muscles and stuff if you kind of immerse yourself in cold water.
Yeah,
so I did that for a while. Actually quite a long while.
Yeah.
And it's good for your skin as well, to wash your hair in cold water and stuff. But it's very refreshing in the morning. So maybe a habit I'll get into.
Yeah. I find the cold showers, the first day, it took so much in me not to scream standing underneath that. But as time goes on, I'm doing it a wee bit longer each day before, I actually put the warm water on. But there is something about it that it awakens something inside you. I definitely think it's something that helps me better in the morning. I can't imagine it would help me sleep at night.
It's supposed to.
I know, that's and it's something, maybe I will give it a go, because who knows?
It's it's supposed to, like, if you reduce your body temperature in the evening, it kind of tells your body hormones that it's time to go to bed. Because historically speaking, human beings, it got colder in the night times.
Yeah.
So the body would be warmer during the day and then colder at night, and then so that's why having artificial heat, having your heat on at night time isn't actually good. You should turn the heat off as well, and turn off all your artificial lights. Well, not all of them, but dim all of your artificial lights in the evening. Generally speaking, I tend to just go by that light anyway, which is pretty bright, but that's the only light I use. But yeah, so if you can kind of dim the lights, reduce the temperature. Where I'm getting this from is by the way, a podcast called Find My Fitness. It's a podcast I really, really like, with Lyndsey and Patrick, and she did a whole entire episode on sleep, and these were the advice she was given: reduce temperature, reduce light, phone fast, obviously turn off all mobile devices, don't sleep in the same room as your mobile device, obviously goes without saying. TVs aren't good in the bed, any sort of blue light at all in the bedroom, as dark as it can be.
Yeah, we have blackout curtains in our bedroom, and we haven't had a TV in our bedroom for about 14 years. It's something we just have never done. So yeah, just talking about the sleep there, and you saying about the lights, that's something that Michael said in his sleep podcast as well. He says just be in more darkness, because then it gets your body ready to switch off. So I have actually found on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday in the evening, while I was sitting downstairs, I didn't turn the lights on in the living room whenever I come back from being out walking, and I definitely have felt that I've slept much better. In fact, 2 of those nights I fell asleep before midnight. That is unheard of for me. So
I've noticed that I've been sleeping fantastically well since I've started, stretching and yoga. And it must have something to do with just the amount of stress that is in my muscles. The amount of, that must have something to do with it, maybe. Or I don't know why. I've noticed that I've been going into a very deep sleep. I have been intermittent fasting as well, so I'm not sure if that's done something to improve my sleep. Maybe it's probably a culmination of all the kind of things that I'm doing, but I'm really noticing that I'm sleeping much deeper, and it's probably got something to do with my muscles being a bit more loose. Intermittent fasting is supposed to improve sleep as well, but it's got something to do with that. I think my muscles were far too tight, and that a lot of my kind of ruminations and a lot of my anxiety was coming from my tense muscles.
yeah,
Obviously, this is sort of assuming that your anxiety doesn't have a cause. Like, your anxiety has a cause. Obviously you're worried about your business, but if your anxiety doesn't seem to have a cause, what I've found over the last, let's say, Anytime anybody mentioned the news and the virus and etc., I was just finding I was losing my temper. I was like, just don't talk about it, please don't talk about it. And maybe it was because I was stressed out enough anyway, and it's sort of that was out of my agency. I couldn't do anything about it, and it's like, why you know? So this is kind of a discussion about stress, and hopefully overcoming stress and ways in which you can, make your life better. Not just sort of absolve, delving into our stress, but kind of how do we overcome it?
Yeah.
And yoga, stretching, working out, exercise, all things, and all the things that we've been discussing about sleep as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I think the less sleep you have, the more stressed you are going to get. That's just natural. So if you can find ways to sleep better, then do it, and try everything, and don't just give up after one try. Jennifer, I'm talking straight to you on that one. She did say she tried it once and then didn't do it. But yeah, definitely. That was the cold shower. Do you remember she did it once, didn't work, so gave up. I mean, that is something that we are notorious for as a race. We will try something and go, nope, didn't work for me, not doing that, and then we complain about it.
Do you think Northern Irish people are particularly stubborn? I sort of think we are.
Very much so.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say there is that whenever I lived in the States they start school at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I remember from when I lived in the States that I was getting particularly stressed out about just kind of everything. Mm-hmm. And it's because I couldn't focus well in class, and I was just that wee bit more irritable, wee bit more kind of, it's surprising that they start school so early. There was a TED talk about it where she was saying like this is crazy, especially for teenagers, that we're making them start school early and leave early. Because teenagers apparently need about 10 hours of sleep a night. Mm-hmm. So teenagers you kind of need less sleep as you get older. So, 7 or 8 hours of sleep is fine for people our age, but teenagers, like babies obviously need, 20 hours a day or whatever, or 22 hours a day. Toddlers need sort of 20, etc. But teenagers need about 10. Yeah. So that means 7 o'clock. That would mean that you would have to go to bed you would have to go to bed at 8 in order to get up for 6 in order to go to school for 7.
And how many teenagers want to go to bed at 8 o'clock? Just saying there, Jennifer and I, thank you so much for stopping in with this. We'll see you next week. But yeah, so I can't believe that. Like, is that like America-wide, or is that...
As far as I know. Don't quote me on that, but it's certainly in Florida anyway.
Well, there's something I didn't know about Florida.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you know, I lived in Tampa Bay for a while, so it's certainly in Tampa.
That's crazy.
I think that it might be different district to district, or it might be different state to state. I don't know, but it's definitely in Florida.
Yeah.
Or definitely in Tampa. Yeah. What else were we going to say there? So cold showers, alright, that's going to be one of my habits that I take up this week.
Yeah, do, and then we can talk next Sunday night about, how we've both experienced continually doing the cold showers.
Yes, that sounds like a plan. We're kind of wrapping up here. I think we've kind of talked about everything we want to talk about. I think that actually we've done okay. So the happiness planner as well, I'm going to implement that into my... I kind of already have, but I kind of haven't too. But there's a few ideas there. I'll check out... Is it Michael? Is that what you call him?
Michael O'Neill.
Michael O'Neill. That's what you call him. Of course, yes. And so I'll check out his podcast. And anything else? We've got about 5 minutes before the hour comes along. Anything else we want to talk about?
No, I think we have done well tonight, considering we sort of had what we thought was like one topic, which turned into not really just one.
Yeah, I think we have. I don't think there's anything more that we particularly need to add to that there. Yeah, we only really did have one topic, and that's really all we need. So for next week, we just kind of have to think about a generalized thing that we want to discuss. I'll try and get a few YouTube videos up as well. So if we fall shy on conversation topics, there's always that to fall back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's us at 55 minutes then. If you want to just call it a day now then.
Yeah, do that. Jax is saying good night to everyone.
Good night. So thanks very much for watching. Anybody that's watching, probably just Lynn.
We still have two people watching, so
have we?
Yeah. I think we've done well tonight.
Okay. I don't know how many people are watching on my channel, but sure, if they're watching your channel, that's okay.
Sure.
Well, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.